Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Chris from Unicorn Riot. We're live again here on Highway 1806. You probably saw some of our stream footage just now. So we had stepped away for a second because it looked like not that much was going on. The eviction deadline had passed by almost 2 hours without really any sort of movement from law enforcement. But so we heard that there was officers in riot gear lining up, so we got back up here as soon as we could. We saw it's a full line of Wisconsin state troopers in riot gear who were here. We assume they're here under the Emergency Management Assistance Compact. And so they're working with Morton County Sheriff's deputies who are sort of like on the side. There's some Morton County Sheriff's deputies on the side with less lethal weapons or behind them sort of directing the troopers from Wisconsin who are here. When we arrived on the scene earlier, there was a line sort of facing the crowd, some people in the crowd, and then the whole line of police and sheriffs aggressively ran forward, grabbed some people, tackled some people. I think a man named Eric Promez was live streaming. He was arrested on the side of the road by the north gate of Oseti-Sacoan. We saw police dragging him away. I saw one officer strike him in the face with his hand. We've got unconfirmed reports that his hip was broken during that arrest. We can't confirm that, but I did see at least 5 or 6 officers pinning him down with considerable force. So reports of an injury sustained during that arrest don't seem to be completely unfounded. And so now here behind me, if you zoom in, you can see, okay, they're walking away again. They've been retreating for a while now, but there's a riot gear contingent of Wisconsin state troopers who are here with the Morton County Sheriff, and in front of me is a line of veterans and water protectors. It's just sort of formed a perimeter to protect people. And so it looked like today might have winded down without any arrests or violence from law enforcement, but that's not the case anymore. I've personally witnessed at least 4 arrests. I would guess there's between 6 and 10 that have taken place. We heard that a rabbi was arrested before we got on the scene. We had to just go away and take a break after being here all morning wearing these heavy vests. But so I think maybe 2 arrests happened before we got here, and then I would say 6 to 8 happened since we were on the scene. A lot happened fast. We had to run away to avoid being arrested ourselves. Independent reporter Jenny Monet, who's been reporting this story for months, said she had officers directly try to grab her, and she just barely got away. And so the contingent of law enforcement that's been here, they do have an ABC News crew embedded with them. They said North Dakota media only is what Jenny Monet told us, but they do have an ABC crew with them that I think is from New York. So basically they're letting their chosen media roll with them, and then any other media that's here is subject to being attacked or brutalized or arrested, just the same as everyone else is what it seems like. Which is, just fits the pattern of what we've seen the whole time we've been out here reporting the story for most of a year now. And they do seem to be like, I would imagine these attacks on press freedom, they feel more comfortable doing this under the Trump administration. North Dakota is a pretty Trump-heavy state. I believe it was back in August when there was some sheriffs in pickup trucks near an action that had "Make America Great Again" hats left visibly on the hoods of their cruisers. So can see when I zoom all the way in, I can see there's like some news crews like in the police barricade. Like they must have not been able to see any of this. So yeah, you can see now there's you can see some tripods and stuff way there off in the distance. We're zoomed in all the way here. That's towards closer to Backwater Bridge. Sorry, I'll get the zoom in good. This flag's in the way. But yeah, you can see that's where they wanted all the media to stay that made it onto the governor's list of so-called legitimate press. And so they've just been hanging out there the whole time. I don't know how they would have seen at all the law enforcement aggressively charging the crowd here about half an hour ago that took place. If they've just all been down there, they're just going to have to take the police's word for it or get other people's video off the internet. They'll probably ask us for our video.
So for everyone tuning in right now, just like to apologize for a second about the stream lens earlier today. Yeah, we've been fighting a lot of snow and a lot of rain all day today, and it's just now stopped. So if you tuned in earlier, you might have noticed that we were getting heavily attacked by liquids falling from the sky. So that's over now.
Gloves up here.
So camp is still being occupied by the water protectors, and the police are seemingly have backed up all the way to their vehicles.
Sheriff Laney negotiating with some. That's Sheriff Laney. He's the Cass County Sheriff from Fargo, which is kind of far away, but he's been one of the sort of leading law enforcement figures. Morton County Sheriff Kirkmeyer calls him his deputy of operations. He's also the director of operations for the National Sheriff's Association, which has directed bringing sheriffs here from around the country to assist with protecting Dakota access against indigenous resistance. Yeah, he's sort of blocked by that person right now, but you can see him there. Oh, that flag was in the way. He's the guy making hand gestures. I'm going to step to the left a little. But yeah, so Sheriff Laney's actually currently, he had an employee quit, an older woman who, I think she was like 70 years old, who had worked in his department for about 30 years, who said that there's a culture of bullying that's endemic to the Cass County Sheriff's Department, and basically she was saying they're going to get sued probably from both the inside and the outside. And I've been to a few different protests in Bismarck and also out here where Sheriff Laney seems to be basically in charge of all the movements. He's basically working hand in hand with Morton County Sheriff Kyle Kirkmeyer to direct the combined forces of North Dakota sheriffs, different police departments, National Guard, etc. So yeah, he's one of the people who's personally responsible for ordering law enforcement activities out here. Sheriff Paul Laney of the Cass County Sheriff's Department. Yeah, that's Sheriff Laney there. I'm not sure who he's talking to, but he looks kind of agitated.
Can you do a recap about what happened today for everyone who's been tuning in, about what was expected to happen and what happened so far?
Yeah, so for everyone who's just tuning in, the eviction was said that it would take place at about 2 p.m. today. That's what the Army Corps of Engineers and the Office of the Governor of North Dakota said. Nothing really happened at 2 p.m. People were just hanging out here. There was cops sort of in clumps down the road looking like they might do something, but they didn't do anything until a little after 4 p.m. today, after most people left camp, and a group of mostly Wisconsin state troopers together with Morton County Sheriff's deputies formed a line, arrested several people. They then charged and arrested the crowd. I believe they arrested several independent journalists who were here to document. They've repeatedly threatened everyone here with arrest. And for a while they were lined up. They would advance on the crowd, stop, and then after like holding a line for a while and lulling everyone into safety, they would then randomly charge the crowd and grab people. I don't know if it was at random or targeted. Several arrests took place. One arrest looked pretty bad. I think someone's injured right now, probably being transported to jail or the hospital. And then after making, I would say, between 6 and 8 arrests, the unit of mostly Wisconsin state troopers, it's Wisconsin state troopers out here today, is the main muscle of this operation. They're here under the Emergency Management Assistance Compact. Then they started taking a step back, step by step, until they're way back, basically behind their barricade now. So it's not clear if they're going to act to clear this area tonight. or what's going to happen. They're saying that they're going to do a cleanup on this camp at 9 a.m. tomorrow, but it's not clear if that means a law enforcement operation to get rid of anyone who's still inside, or if it's if that's like actually bringing in the work crews and stuff after law enforcement has removed water protectors who were still in the camp. I would imagine there's at least several dozen people in there, both in plain sight and probably hidden.
And we got over here on the left.
And then over here on the left, that's a Humvee, probably from the North Dakota Army National Guard, sort of a dark green earth color. Looks like it's got tank treads on it, so it can traverse the mud quickly. We've been predicting they would send some of those out with all this muddy weather. And then over here, this hill here, last month water protectors from the camp tried to erect a camp there called the Lost Child Camp. It was there for about a day, I think, or under a day. And then they were surrounded by sheriffs, police, and National Guard who arrested them all and charged them with criminal trespass and rioting. People moved there because the Army Corps of Engineers was saying people needed to vacate the Oseti-Sokoan camp because it's a floodplain, and therefore it was like a health and safety hazard. And so people wanted to set up another camp on higher ground where they could still be near the route of the Dakota Access Pipeline. But the government of North Dakota says that this land is private property of Dakota Access, and so now it's basically just Dakota Access Pipeline security and North Dakota law enforcement camped out there 24/7. They've got their own little camp with a barbed wire perimeter, as you can see. Some floodlights too that are usually on at night. And there's floodlights over here already on. They've been running those things 24/7.
Who do we have here?
Hey guys, hey Unicorn Riot team, glad to be on your live stream. Appreciate it, boys. Doing great work out here. The whole world appreciates what you guys have been doing, and I appreciate it as well.
So what did you witness today?
What I witnessed today, just from my experience of seeing these things play out, was cops enacting a strategy. I really think they didn't want to arrest 300 people today, so they wanted to give us a 2 o'clock deadline and then push that back to 4 so people would stream out of here. And then once they built up that riot line that we saw there, they rushed us a couple times, randomly snatched 5, 6, 7 people. Notice it scared most of the people off the street. So now we're down to a couple dozen people. This is what they wanted. And now they backed off their line. Basically now they're either going to do nothing or they wanted people to follow them so that way they could arrest that group. So we're kind of at a stalemate right now. The governor said he's not coming into the camp until 9 a.m. tomorrow with the bulldozers. So I think that's where we're at.
So, as many people are aware, these cops over there, maybe not the Wisconsin ones, but the Morton County ones, I believe, probably, shot you in the hand a few weeks ago?
It was a month now. It was January 18th, 2 days before Trump. We were on the bridge over here. It might have been Morton County, or it might have been state troopers. I'm not sure. They were wearing blue, oddly enough, that night.
Right, yeah.
The ones with
who knows? All the cops have guns and they're shooting.
Right. So basically, I was live streaming. They came around and flanked us on both sides, so I went to cover the left flank. There were some guys with shields. I was well behind, 20 feet behind the guys with shields. I was actually backing up to the street as the cops were approaching. And then all of a sudden, I didn't notice this until people pointed out to me later, but it's clear on my live stream. The cops yelled, "John Ziegler," and then 3 cops with less lethals take fire on me within 3 seconds of them yelling out my name. So they clearly targeted me. 2 days before that happened, I had pointed out the fact they had the missile launchers up on the hill that went viral on Facebook. Other media outlets picked that up and actually pressed Morton County about that, so I was on their radar already. Obviously, they knew who I was because they knew my name, and they watch our live feeds. So they were probably saying, there's 2 live feeds up, let's get those live feeds out of the way so we can then do what we want. And that's exactly what they did that night.
Yeah, and that's exactly what apparently they did today with one of the live streamers that was out here recording.
Did they target it? Did they get a live streamer?
Yeah,
Eric Pomez, I think is his name. He was live streaming and was arrested.
Yeah, so, the person that was out here, one of the people that was out here streaming, I guess, was taken by the police and is now in custody or going to, hopefully not the hospital, but they may have been injured. Speaking of injuries...
Let's just reiterate for most people at home that don't know about what a rubber bullet is. It's a very generic term for basically any less lethal projectile the cops shoot, which these days, I know you guys have seen it all, they range from tiny actual rubber bullets, which is a steel ball covered in plastic, to these big beanbag rounds or pellet rounds that they use. All of them at high velocity make a very harmful impact. I got hit twice in my leg that night, leaving large... I still have a lump in my leg from one of the rubber bullets. And then the third one that hit me, they were aiming for my camera, and that's the one that hit my finger right here. It must have hit at an angle like that, because by the time I got to the ER, it was literally barely hanging on, the finger itself. The ER surgeon, he just had to like sew it up real quick, and then I had to get surgery 2 days later, and they basically put a metal plate connecting my pinky bone to my knuckle with 6 screws right there. So physical therapy is going to be fun for the next little while here. I'll probably never get full movement in my hand again. I've already racked up 20 grand in medical bills just in the last month from this.
So there's been a lot of people that have been like seriously maimed in some fashion while covering this or participating.
I'll never be the same. I'll never be the same. You know, I mean, this isn't
How will
just.
this affect you doing your media work?
The first 2 weeks I was barely able to do it. I couldn't use this hand at all. I was able to stream fine today, but I've been trying to like simulcast with multiple cameras. Like today, I wanted to be on Facebook and Ustream and possibly even Periscope all at the same time. But to operate all those things, get all my battery packs hooked up with kind of one limp hand, that's why I just went on Facebook today. It was just the easiest for me. And right now, the cold's really kind of getting into it. That's why I hate to say it, but I'm gonna have to cut it, guys. It's kind of tearful for me, because that means once I leave that barricade, I can no longer come back in. Again, so that's why I thank you guys for being out here. As I have to leave, I've been here for 3 months now. It's a very emotional time. But thank you guys. Thank you so much.
You take care.
Chris, I'll see you soon. Yep.
So that was an update from John Ziegler. Back to the new front line here, which is some water protectors mixed in with some veterans and small ragtag group here, waiting to resist whatever comes next. So on that note, I'm going to hand it over.
You want to set the rig down for a second?
Well, I can take it.
I got it.
That's fine. You can take a break if you got to.
Yeah, so we probably have like an hour and a half tops until sundown. I don't know if they're going to try to clear the highway after dark or what. I don't think they're going to want to come into camp at night for safety reasons. So, yeah, I don't know. We're going to try and stay here and report as long as we can, but also once we leave, we will not be able to come back in. And we're also pretty intent on getting out of here free so we can keep reporting. So as soon as it seems like it's time to go, we're probably going to have to go, and unfortunately won't be able to make it back in.
Hey, I'm just touching base. Places like what retreated back to where they were earlier today almost. There's like 10 or 15.
Got a report back from the police.
There's no negotiating anymore. There's no ceremonies. They're just going to come in and arrest. So, but they're giving us one last opportunity to say, hey, we want to leave. And if we leave, then we won't get arrested.
Do they say when they're coming?
Talking about propaganda, about got to get the cleanup done, ecological disaster. That I don't agree with. But they seem to be coming from a good place as much as they can.
They definitely believe that there's a real issue with the water.
Oh, they think they believe it.
What did the NC say
So
when you
the
went down?
grandma was not here for the pipeline. She's here for the treaty rights.
Stand.
She's here for the treaty stand. She wants to stay there. And she doesn't want any help with the cleanup. And that's going to be kind of it's an overwhelming amount of work. The Army Corps of Engineers won't do any cleaning until the area is clear from people.
Safety reasons. It makes
Because
sense.
there's concerns of
And they have intel. There
rebellious-
is concerns about a group in here that wants to kill cops. That's their concern. They think there's some kind of group in here. I've not seen any group like that, but they think there is. So that's their concern. Whether it's manufactured or real.
Why are they falling back?
Well, they're
That I don't get.
they're done for today, but tomorrow the Army Corps is coming. And
So
this
they
area
have
needs
backed
to be
off for
cleared.
the rest of the night today?
I believe that.
I think it's
We
just
can't
6
go back
months.
because we're gonna get arrested.
They just battle one. They just want to get it over with. know.
Well, they are not advancing on camp anymore.
No, they're not. And we could literally just go back into camp, and they probably wouldn't go in.
Yeah,
Well, since they're not coming forward on us, I'm not making any calls here, but I'm willing to go sit by a fire for a minute and fall back. They've fallen back, so I think we can do that with honor now. But I'll follow what my indigenous brothers and sisters want to do here.
Right. Because it's their fight, right? So overall, it's your fight. Right?
So you gonna make a fire?
Let's get some food.
Let's make a
Get
fire.
some fire, get some food.
should I tell Grandma to come
I'm honored to stand. I'm honored to
Well,
stand.
yeah,
I'm
go
on
tell
all-
Grandma to come over.
Where are you guys gonna be?
Yeah, so looks like maybe the police have fallen back for the day and they'll come in with the Army Corps in the morning, or they could be ready to come in here again and force everyone off the road all for once. We just heard from some veterans who had gone in and sort of conferred with, I think we were zoomed in on them talking with Cass County Sheriff Paul Laney before, who's one of the commanders out here.
Thank you very much.
So, yeah, this guy in the green has been going up and sort of liaising with law enforcement. It's not really clear what's about to happen. I would guess they're not going to want to make moves after sundown. And they were saying that there's a concern about supposedly a group in camp that wants to kill cops when cops come into camp. That sounds like basically what the police say every time. They just have, like, it's not to say that there isn't violence against the police or people defending themselves against the police sometimes. Those things do happen, and different people have feelings on whether that behavior is justified or not. But I don't think that's happening here. It's also the police will pretty regularly, like, invent or fabricate or take a small thing and make it big in order to, like, justify their own actions in a situation. So yeah, we're gonna take the stream down for a little bit and then try to bring you more developments as they come. There seems to be a lull for the time being. But yeah, this is Unicorn Riot, live from right outside the Pipeline Resistance Camp, just over the Standing Rock Reservation border. Thanks for watching.
Huh?